Now at 6, New York City hospitals now war zones stretched to the limits. Cases doubling, deaths spiking. How crews are grappling with the crisis now.
Aggressively enforced and strict, the new rules in Newark to keep people inside their homes.
Hamptons uproar, the push to keep people from New York City out of beach communities where officials fear they could put locals at risk for infection. Good evening, I'm Chuck Scarborough reporting from home.
And I'm Natalie Pasquarella. There are now more than 1,000 coronavirus deaths in the U.S. In New York, cases are on pace to double every 3 days. More than 37,000 statewide with 385 deaths. In New Jersey, we have seen the biggest single-day increase. That's 2,500 cases overnight. The state is now receiving a major disaster declaration. Now, this pushes the tri-state total well past 45,000 people. Connecticut is now reporting more than 1,000 cases with 21 deaths. And tomorrow morning, street closures in all 5 boroughs will help to enforce social distancing. News 4's Andrew Siff kicking off our team coverage from Hell's Kitchen. Andrew.
Natalie, they're feeling the tragic aspects of this pandemic in every corner of the city. At the hospital where I'm standing, a nurse passed away from coronavirus. Out in Queens at Elmhurst Hospital, they've been absolutely overwhelmed. And within the last hour, the mayor said he sent emergency supplies, namely ventilators, out to Elmhurst today.
The folks at Elmhurst Hospital, the folks doing this noble work, need supplies, and I'm committed to getting you supplies. In fact, in the last 10 days, we have 4 times resupplied Elmhurst Hospital with additional ventilators, and we will keep doing that until we're at the point that Elmhurst absolutely always has more than enough ventilators.
The lines outside Elmhurst Hospital tell one story of those waiting to get a test.
All the patients in this room, all the feet that you see, they all have COVID.
Inside, as a doctor showed the New York Times, the alarming crisis up close. A refrigerated trailer to handle a staggering 13 deaths in one day, despite all the preparation.
It's too little, too late. Like, we knew. We knew it was coming.
This is like a wartime factory.
Today in Brooklyn, Mayor de Blasio suggested fighting back means getting creative. He thanked a local company that switched from making household items to medical face masks.
They did not make this product. These companies didn't make this product. A few days ago, this warehouse didn't exist.
The human toll rising faster than most can comprehend. Frontline responders like Caius Kelly, a nurse at Mount Sinai West, losing his life to coronavirus. Amid fears, there's a shortage of personal protective equipment like gowns, masks, and ventilators. State officials say hospital administrators have not raised problems.
They continue to assure us that they have what they need at the moment, and we've assured them that if they don't, we will get them what they need immediately.
Up next, more restrictions on outdoor behavior. The city tomorrow closing key streets in 4 boroughs. In Brooklyn, parts of Bushwick Avenue, Manhattan, a section of Park Avenue, 34th Avenue in Queens, and the Grand Concourse in the Bronx. The goal, more space to go outside safely.
I think it's so important that we see each other and say hello to each other from a safe distance.
It's the emotional distance that Governor Cuomo said today everyone is grappling with.
And I can tell you just from having my daughters with me, yeah, they're hurt. They're scared, but they are also learning through this. And at the end of the day, they're going to be better people for it.
And Mayor de Blasio also saying this evening that the new goal is to triple hospital bed capacity by May 1st, from 20,000 at the onset of this crisis to 60,000. They only have a few weeks to get there. We're live on the West Side. Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
All right, Andrew, thank you. Well, tonight we're learning new details about a nursing home there in New Jersey evacuated yesterday because of a coronavirus outbreak. Sadly, we have to tell you that 3 residents from St. Joseph's Senior Home have died. 24 residents, 5 staff members tested positive for COVID-19. We're told that many others have symptoms.
That was such a heartbreaking scene, Natalie. Well, I must tell you now, in Newark, as of today, that city is under some of the strictest shelter-in-place orders in the entire nation right now. Residents there are being told to stay in their homes unless it's an absolute emergency or if they have to get out for something essential. News 4's Brian Thompson is live in Newark with how it's going so far. Brian?
Yeah, Chuck, and this is coming as Newark now has 155 reported cases of coronavirus. That was increased to about 30 from yesterday. And now Governor Murphy saying that there will be no decision of reopening schools across the state until April 17th. That's no decision will be announced or made until then. Doesn't mean they'll open then. Well, with all of that, the lockdown here now looks like it could last weeks indeed.
You are reminded of the social distance awareness policy.
Newark now just one step away from this.
We're prepared to give summonses and we're prepared to arrest if we have to.
But these police convoys through the main roads and the side streets of New Jersey's largest city are a desperate effort to avoid arresting anyone. Instead, to encourage people to heed the 6-foot social distancing guideline, and it just might work.
It's one of these life situations where when you see wars happening or different events in the country where people have to pull together, there is no sides. It's us versus the coronavirus.
This policy is to maintain a 6-foot separation from one another. This will help reduce the spread of coronavirus in our community.
Newark police tell me that often they get cheers and applause from residents when these announcements are made in their neighborhoods. So for now, these safety announcement patrols are working. Any gathering immediately breaks up, and statewide, any parties or weddings or other large gatherings targeting the business or homeowner, though not the attendees.
Business owners or the people hosting the parties or holding the congregations and trying to send the deterrent message there. But if we have to go broader, we will.
Now, that's why Lakewood has written a couple of tickets, several tickets actually, or summonses, if you will, against organizers or homeowners down there. One farther south in Penn's Landing against a party there. So far, nothing here in Newark, but police are on the lookout for it. And if they see it, they'll not only break it up, they'll be writing a ticket. Live in Newark, Brian Thompson, News 4 New York.
All right, Brian, thank you. Taking it very seriously there. The number of coronavirus cases in Connecticut is now more than 1,000, and Governor Lamont is now asking President Trump to issue a major disaster declaration for the state. Governor Lamont says he has submitted a request to FEMA asking for public assistance for all 8 counties. If approved, residents could be given access to more resources for child care, counseling, as well as other state needs. The governor says that everybody needs to be safe and quarantine if necessary before they travel to the state.
Make sure you are 100% healthy after 14 days before you do a lot of circulation up here. It's a one way that both New York and Connecticut and our neighboring states working together can hold down the spread of this virus.
Now, right now, most of the cases are in Fairfield County, reporting more than 600 cases.
Yesterday, we told you about the exodus of city dwellers leaving the city and then heading out to Long Island, how officials there were worried they might be bringing the COVID-19 virus with them. Well, now, officials out there on the east end of Long Island are demanding some sort of action about that. They're looking for ways to keep people from flocking there, potentially putting East End residents at greater risk. News 4's Greg Sergel is standing by right now in Southampton with how they want to do that. Greg?
Well, Chuck, the town supervisors here on Long Island's East End, at least some of them, simply want limits on the number of New York City residents traveling here to Southampton and other areas out here on the eastern part of Long Island. The reality, though, is that many of those New York City folk are already here. The migration began 2 weeks ago.
It feels the summer, yes.
The Hamptons rush has started early this year. Roughly half of Southampton's summer homes are already occupied, and a surprising number of visitors are even making day trips here. Zachar Dem is a restaurant owner.
You see that everyone is in town, you see old people around, you go to the beach, everyone's at the beach.
But the beaches aren't the reason for the early visitors. Officials say New York City residents are flocking here to escape coronavirus.
I understand it, but there is a bit of concern.
This Hamptons worker didn't want to be identified, but like some here, he's worried that city residents are bringing the virus with them.
We're suggesting that maybe a few less people coming out from New York City would help us prepare better.
Southampton's town supervisor and other leaders are now planning to ask Governor Cuomo for a limited ban on non-essential travel to Long Island's East End.
But somebody just coming out here to spend a couple days, get some R&R, I don't know if that really is helpful.
Schneiderman points to a recent spike in coronavirus cases from 2 to 58 in a few days. And he worries the East End's 3 hospitals could be pushed to the brink.
If they have houses, then they're going to come to their houses. Their choice, I would do the same thing.
Year-round resident Philip King is among those arguing it's wrong to point the finger of blame at city residents.
We like to have these people here. These people, it's going to support us.
Today, Governor Cuomo said any travel restrictions would have to come from local counties.
I don't have any mandating any travel ban on my agenda.
Despite the governor's words, the supervisors are hoping to send the governor a letter on this in a couple of days. In the interim, they're hoping that New York City residents will heed their concerns. We're in Southampton. Greg Sergel, News 4 New York.
All right, Greg, thank you. Well, economists say the job losses are just the tip of the iceberg in all of this. Unemployment claims in the U.S. just broke an almost 4-decade record. More than 3.2 million people applied for benefits last week. That's the largest number in U.S. history. The previous week, there were 282,000 claims. Now, the news is not discouraging Wall Street. As we take a look, the Dow rallied more than 1,300 points today. News 4's Chris Glorioso live in Bloomfield, New Jersey tonight with the struggle right now for millions of people, Chris.
Natalie, there are 2 ways of looking at last week's unemployment numbers. The first is this is unprecedented. We have never seen numbers like this before. The second, and perhaps more frightening way to look at it, is we're going to start seeing a lot more numbers that look like this, according to economists. And that means if you have been laid off, you are in an increasingly long line of people scrambling to get in touch with their state labor department.
We got an email the 18th stating that we're all laid off until further notice.
What good are bulked up unemployment benefits if there aren't enough staff members to process the claims? Ebony Franklin is a Brooklyn single mother and daycare worker laid off because of the coronavirus pandemic. She says she cannot get through on the phone to the New York Department of Labor to finish the benefits claim she started online.
I haven't been able to get through. It's been like a busy signal, then it's some message. It even got to the point where it doesn't even go through anymore. It just ends the call.
2 weeks ago, just over 280,000 Americans applied for unemployment benefits. But last week, with much of the nation on lockdown, there was an astronomical surge, up to 3.2 million claims, more than 4 times the previous record set in 1982. Just last week, 3.2 million people filed for unemployment. You think you're going to be among them?
I really think that it's going to be higher now. As of next week, probably it's going to be like 5 million. Yeah, most likely, yes.
In Bloomfield, New Jersey, Alex Lawson is just relieved he applied for unemployment at the very beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. He says he lost his warehouse job when China's lockdown slowed the pace of imports.
We're scared right now because we, as Americans, we never had nothing like this happen to us before.
No one has lost their job, I would say, to provoke them. We have all lost our jobs. It's different.
Governor Cuomo has staffed up the state's labor department with lots of people to take these calls, but the call volume is crushing. Consider this. In a typical week, about 50,000 calls to the Department of Labor hotline. Between Monday and Wednesday of this week, 4 million calls. That's difficult in any time. For now, reporting live in Bloomfield, Chris Glorioso, News 4 New York.